Good morning, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Monday, December 1st, 2014, around 7:09 p.m. Berwick, Massachusetts. Going to be another nice and sunny day. Highs are going to be in the 50s again. Get most of the snow melted, but it's muddy out right now, so it's not good. And the temperatures are going to go up and down this week like a roller coaster. Some news to report: the Calgary Stampede won the Grey Cup. That's the CFL's version of the Super Bowl. And it's also Cyber Monday in the United States of America. And it's also 20 years ago today, GSN, also known as the Game Show Network, signed on the air as the first network devoted to game shows. They had a classic lineup of great Goodson Tomlin game shows, and from Chuck Barris Productions and Jack Berry and Dan Enright and Merv Griffin Productions when they first went on the air. Now it's a shell of its former self. It shows endless repeats of Steve Harvey's Family Feud. And also, 41 years ago today was the day that Stan the Man Stasiak beat Pedro Morales for the WWE title. In Philadelphia, he was only a 9-day champion. And also 30 years ago today, Big John Studd and Ken Patella cut the hair of Andre the Giant in a tag team match that was broadcast on Championship Wrestling, again with like Patella and Studd against Andre and SD Jones. And Studd and Patella raped the dignity of Andre the Giant by cutting his hair, and Vince McMahon says it was one of the most despicable displays of conduct in the history of the WWE. That's about it on that. My next subject of the day is a continuation series of the top 10 greatest everything and anything. And here's a list of the top 10 wrestlers that should have had a feud with Bob Backlund in the WWF/WWE when he was WWE champion, and they could have had like a program that flew Madison Square Garden and the house show circuit in the northeast part of the United States. During his reign as champion, Bob Backlund reigned as WWE champion from 1978 through 1983. He took on all comers, and he was one of the best WWE champions of all time. He had some legendary feuds with superstar Billy Graham, Ken Patella, Ernie Ladd, Peter Maivia, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Larry Zbyszko, Arthur and Sika, Bobby Duncan, Angelo King Kong Mosca, Killer Khan, Magnificent Morocco, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Bob Orton, Playboy Buddy Rose, Big John Studd, Sergeant Slaughter, and so many others. Those were some of the most classic feuds that Bob had as World Wrestling Federation champion, and they fought in Madison Square Garden and all around the circuit. He even had a 4-match series for Pat Patterson at Madison Square Garden. And here are the top 10 wrestlers that should have had a feud with Bob Backlund in the WWF/WWE during this time as well. Number 10 on the list is Jerry the King Lawler. Jerry the King Lawler was a heel in Memphis territory during this time period, 1978-1979. He was one of the best heels in the United States during that time. He could have had a program with Bob Backlund at MSG and throughout the Northeast as well. Could have had maybe a 3-match series that could have ended in like a steel cage match and stuff like that. Jerry the King Lawler would have probably have to had a different manager, because his manager back then was Jimmy Hart, and the WWE had the 3 evil managers of Captain Lou Albano, Freddie Brashley, and the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. I think Jerry the King Lawler would have probably been paired up with Captain Lou Albano, in my opinion. He comes in at number 10. Number 9 on the list is Dory Funk Jr. Dory Funk Jr. was an NWA World Champion back in the late 60s and early 70s. He would have had a classic feud with Bob Backlund, a lot of scientific skills and stuff like that. You could have had maybe a 2-3 match series. Could have ended in a Texas Death Match at Madison Square Garden to blow it off. Probably Dory Funk Jr. would have probably been managed by the Grand Wizard of Wrestling if he showed up in the WWE during this time period. He comes in at number 9. Number 8 on the list is Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes was only maybe in his early 20s during around 1980 and so 1981 or so, when he was a red hot heel in the Mid-South area. He and the Fabulous Freebirds blinded the Junkyard Dog, and this was a major angle where, like, to sell it that the Junkyard Dog could not leave his house as the part of the storyline that he was really blind and stuff, and he couldn't see the birth of his daughter. Michael Hayes was getting a reputation as a top heel, and he would have fit perfectly in the WWE in this time as maybe a major champ, a title threat to Bob Backlund. He probably would have been paired with the Grand Wizard. They could have had a series of matches at Madison Square Garden. That could have been like maybe the first match that Hayes wins by DQ or count out. Second time it goes to the time limit draw, and the third one to blow it off in a steel cage. That would have been a perfect feud for Michael Hayes to elevate him as a top star in the business. Comes in at number 8. Number 7 on the list is Chief Wahoo McDaniels. Wahoo McDaniels was a face for most of his career, but he was a heel in 1984. But I think he would have probably fit perfect as a heel in the WWE during the late 70s and early 80s. Maybe start a feud with Chief Jay Strongbow. Maybe Chief Jay and Wahoo could be WWE Tag Team Champions, but they would lose and have a falling out. And you know the history of WWE, a lot of wrestlers turned on Chief Jay Strongbow, and Chief Wahoo McDaniel would have turned on Chief Jay Strongbow. Wahoo probably would have had Freddie Blassie as his manager, and they would go on to a quick feud, and then Chief Wahoo McDaniel would go after Bob Backlund for the WWE title, have like maybe a 3-match series, and have like the blow-off feud, Indian strap match, and they could like promote it on television at the house shows that Chief Wahoo McDaniels never lost an Indian strap match, and somehow Bob Backlund wins it by hook or by crook. That's what always happens, and he comes in at number 7. Number 6 on the list is Abdullah the Butcher. Abdullah the Butcher was one of the most craziest heels of all time. He never had a WWE run in his career. He would have been a perfect fit for the WWE during the late 70s and early 80s. And he's from the madman of the Sudan, and he would have been managed by Freddie Blassie, because Blassie always managed the fallen heels. And he could have a 3-match series with Bob Backlund where like Abdullah wins by a count out for the first time, and second time it goes to like Backlund wins by disqualification. They have a blow-off feud in a steel cage match where a lot of people are predicting that Backlund loses the title, but somehow Backlund escapes the cage and stuff like that at Madison Square Garden. That would have been a perfect feud. Number 5 on the list is Tommy Wildfire Rich. Tommy was one of the icon of Georgia Championship Wrestling. He was a former NWA champion, and he actually was rumored to be coming into the WWE around 1980. He had a match at Madison Square Garden against like Jose Estrada, and there was rumors he was going to come into the WWE and be a heel and managed by the Grand Wizard and start a major program with Bob Backlund at Madison Square Garden and around the house show circuit. But I heard something that they couldn't agree on dates and stuff, and he had to go to Memphis because Jerry the King Lawler got injured and stuff, and they turned Tommy Wildfire Rich heel in Memphis to become the lead heel there when Lawler got injured. And they could have had Backlund and Rich could have had a great series of matches. Maybe you could have had a blow-off with a lumberjack match and stuff like that. But we'll never find out. But Tommy Rich comes in at number 5. Number 4 on the list is Ole Anderson, part of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Ole Anderson was one of the best heels of all time, a great tag team wrestler. He showed that heel fame around 1980 when he turned on the American Dream Dusty Rhodes in a steel cage match at the Omni in Atlanta. That's when the peak of his heel persona was. He would have fit right in the WWE to feud with Bob Backlund, and he could have had another great series of matches, him and Ole Anderson. Ole could have been managed by Captain Lou Albano, and they could have had maybe a match where the first one gets like a double disqualification and a smudge and stuff on the second one. Third one, they probably would have had a special guest referee. I would have put like Pat Patterson as a special guest referee, and Backlund beats Ole Anderson via Pat Patterson's fast count, and they could have had Ole Anderson could have had a feud with Pat Patterson afterwards. Comes in at number 4. Number 3 on the list is Nature Boy Ric Flair, that should have had a feud with Bob Backlund over the WWE title in the Northeast, Madison Square Garden, and stuff like that. This would have been an amazing feud. Backlund and Flair had matches in Atlanta for NWA World Title and WWE title in 1982, but they would have been tailor-made for the New York area. Flair could have had the Grand Wizard of Wrestling as his manager, and he could have had a series of matches. Maybe the first one goes to a 60-minute time limit draw at Madison Square Garden, and then they have a stipulation. The second one that there's no time limit, and they go well over an hour and stuff, but somehow Bob Backlund wins with a small package and stuff like that. Comes in at number 3. Number 2 on the list is Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan should have had a major feud with Bob Backlund over the WWE title in Madison Square Garden. Hogan was in the WWE around this time as well, 1979 and 80. But they only had a house show feud at Philadelphia and other smaller markets like New Haven, Connecticut, and Worcester, Massachusetts. But they never had a match at Madison Square Garden, which was disappointing because I think they would have had a great series of matches over the WWE title at Madison Square Garden and have Hogan win the first one by count out or disqualification. Second one go to a time limit draw, 60 minutes, and a blow off a steel cage match, and they'll pump it up on television that Backlund's is going to lose the title, but somehow he escapes the cage. And that would have been a great feud at Madison Square Garden. Comes in at number 2. And the number 1 wrestler that should have had a feud with Bob Backlund over the WWE title at Madison Square Garden during Bob Backlund's reign as WWE Champion during 1978 through 1983 was Terry Funk. Terry Funk, in his book he wrote several years ago, said he and Vince McMahon Sr. kind of agreed to him come to the WWE around 1980 or so and have a series of matches with Bob Backlund for the WWE title at Madison Square Garden, but there was a hold-up with money, plus Terry Funk had so many Japanese commitments and he couldn't promise Vince McMahon Sr. that he could have canceled them because they wanted to do this feud all around the WWE loop, like New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Washington, Baltimore, and the other cities. And Terry Funk says he was kind of disappointed because he and Bob Backlund would have made great money, and this would have been an awesome feud. Probably would have had a 3-match series like that they always do with the heels in WWE around 1978 through 1983. Have a 3-match series where Terry Funk gets the first one by count out of disqualification. Second match, Bob Backlund wins by DQ, and the third match would have been a specialty match, maybe a Texas Death match and stuff. And Bob Backlund would have probably escaped winning it. Disappointing, but those things happen. But this probably would have been very good if all of these 10 wrestlers were considered, but they weren't, and it's disappointing. But these blogs, I reminisce about those. Okay, be back later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. 2 more video blogs about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Mark Messier, and beginning tomorrow through the rest of the year, periodically will be the predictions I have for 2015. They won't be every day, maybe a couple of times a week before the end of the year, about anything and everything. The first thing I'm going to talk about for predictions is who will be going to the Hall of Fames in 2015. My prediction for the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Hockey Hall of Fame, and the WWE Hall of Fame. See you later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. Bye now.